5 people descended into the darkness, and the world listened for a sound that never came back. In June 2023, a tiny submersible named Titan disappeared deep beneath the North Atlantic Ocean during a mission to visit the wreck of RMS Titanic. For nearly 4 days, nobody knew what happened. There were no distress signals, no emergency beacon, just silence. And somewhere, almost 2.5 miles beneath the surface, 5 people were trapped inside a carbon fiber vessel no bigger than a minivan. Or at least, that's what everyone feared. The story instantly became a global obsession. News channels switched to non-stop coverage. Military aircraft scanned the ocean. Rescue ships rushed across thousands of miles of open water. Every hour mattered, because inside the Titan, there was only a limited supply of oxygen. And with every passing minute, hope slowly began to disappear into the deep. But to understand how this mission turned into one of the most shocking maritime disasters in modern history, you have to go back to the man who built the sub. Stockton Rush believed deep-sea exploration was trapped in the past. For decades, underwater expeditions had been controlled by governments, scientists, and billionaires with massive budgets. Rush wanted to change that. He dreamed of making the deep ocean accessible to private explorers, tourists, and wealthy adventurers willing to pay for the experience of a lifetime. His company, OceanGate, marketed trips to the Titanic wreck as the ultimate expedition. The price tag, $250,000 per seat, and people paid it, because the Titanic still holds a strange power over human imagination. More than a century after it sank in 1912, the ship remains frozen in darkness at the bottom of the Atlantic. A graveyard of steel, a time capsule untouched by sunlight. To many people, seeing it in person felt almost mythical, but getting there was incredibly dangerous. The Titanic wreck sits nearly 12,500 feet underwater. At that depth, the pressure is crushing. Literally. The ocean presses with thousands of pounds of force on every square inch. One small structural failure and a submersible can collapse instantly. That danger is exactly why many deep-sea vehicles are built using thick titanium spheres and undergo years of certification testing. But Titan was different. Instead of traditional materials, OceanGate used carbon fiber for much of the hull. Rush argued that innovation required taking risks. Critics argued he was gambling with human lives. Over the years, engineers and deep-sea experts reportedly raised concerns about Titan's safety. Some questioned whether carbon fiber could survive repeated trips to extreme depths. Others worried about the lack of independent certification. Former employees allegedly warned of catastrophic failure, but OceanGate continued operations. And in June 2023, Titan prepared for another dive. On board were 5 people. Stockton Rush himself, British billionaire explorer Hamish Harding, renowned French Titanic expert Paul-Henri Nargeolet, Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood, and his 19-year-old son Suleiman Dawood. They boarded Titan aboard the support ship Polar Prince in the North Atlantic. The mood that morning appeared calm, excited, optimistic. For some passengers, this was the adventure of a lifetime. The submersible began its descent into darkness. At first, everything seemed normal. Titan slowly disappeared beneath the waves, leaving sunlight behind. Then came the silence. About an hour and 45 minutes into the dive, the communication was suddenly lost. No texts, no navigation updates, nothing. At first, the support crew may have hoped it was a temporary outage. Communication problems had reportedly happened before. But as time passed, concern turned into panic. Titan never resurfaced, and suddenly an impossible rescue mission began. The search area was enormous. The Atlantic Ocean is unforgiving even on the surface, but underwater it becomes another world entirely. Pitch black, freezing cold, crushing pressure. Finding a submersible there is like finding a needle in an endless abyss. Rescue teams from multiple countries mobilized immediately. Aircraft scanned the sea from above. Ships deployed sonar equipment. deep-sea robots were rushed toward the site. The world watched in real time as experts tried to calculate how much oxygen might still remain inside Titan. 96 hours. That number haunted every headline. Families waited. Journalists speculated. Millions refreshed their phones for updates. Then came the sounds. Reports emerged that underwater noises had been detected in the search area. Banging, tapping. The possibility electrified the world. Were the passengers still alive? Were they trapped on the ocean floor, desperately signaling for help? Every few hours, new theories spread online. Maybe Titan had lost power. Maybe it was tangled in the Titanic wreckage. Maybe it had floated to the surface unnoticed. Hope kept shifting with every update. But deep beneath the headlines, many experts feared something far worse: an implosion. At Titanic depth, structural failure is almost unimaginable in its violence. If the hull collapses under pressure, it happens in milliseconds, faster than the human brain can process pain. The ocean doesn't slowly crush the vessel. It obliterates it instantly. Still, without proof, the search continued, because nobody wanted to believe the alternative. Then, 4 days after Titan disappeared, the devastating truth finally surfaced. A remotely operated vehicle discovered debris near the Titanic wreck, pieces of Titan. The pressure chamber was gone. Investigators concluded the submersible had suffered a catastrophic implosion. The passengers likely died instantly the moment communication was lost. Just like that, the countdown ended. No rescue, no final messages, no dramatic escape from the ocean floor, only silence. The realization shocked the world. For days, millions had imagined 5 people waiting in darkness, holding onto hope. But the tragedy may have ended before anyone even realized there was an emergency. And suddenly, attention turned toward the decisions that led them there. Questions exploded across news networks and investigative reports. Why was Titan not independently certified? Why were warnings ignored? Why did passengers trust the mission? And perhaps the biggest question of all, how far should humanity push exploration before risk becomes recklessness? Because history has seen this pattern before. Again and again, human beings are drawn toward dangerous frontiers. Mount Everest, outer space, the deep ocean. There is always someone willing to go farther, and there is always a moment when ambition collides with reality. The Titan disaster became more than just a missing sub-story. It became a symbol of innovation without limits, of human curiosity, of hubris. Some people viewed the passengers as thrill seekers chasing danger. Others saw them as explorers continuing humanity's endless search for discovery. But beneath all the arguments, 5 people still lost their lives. And one detail made the story especially haunting. They disappeared while visiting another disaster site. The Titanic itself was once called unsinkable, a triumph of engineering, a symbol of confidence and ambition, until nature proved otherwise. More than 100 years later, another vessel descended into the same darkness, carrying the same belief that technology could overcome extreme risk. And once again, the ocean delivered the final answer. Today, the remains of Titan rest near the wreck of Titanic. 2 tragedies connected by the same cold Atlantic waters, separated by more than a century, yet linked by one terrifying truth. The deeper humanity goes into the unknown, the more unforgiving the unknown becomes. Because in the deepest parts of the ocean, there are no second chances, only silence.